Is that your cat?
Oh, did you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo,
she
by the
just
way,
moved up onto the bed.
what's 2 plus 2?
That is four.
Thank you, sir.
I believe that is four. Thank you very much. If I'm mistaken, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's four.
I think it's fall, if I do say so myself. Anyway, we're actually live right now, so I'm just gonna,
Ooh.
I'm gonna repost the link, drop it in the chat.
All right, I'm recording, by the way. I don't know if you are recording.
I'm recording too. I've been every time like I ask you the 2 plus 2 question.
That's the
you can
beginning.
Just assume. Yes, sir.
All right, just confirming. Just making
Yo,
sure.
Yo, so I heard you had a little hiccup at the doctor's today.
Oh yeah, I think you were right about that. We shouldn't waste all of our steam in the chats because, like, now I feel kind of refreshed that I got it off my chest, and like to repeat that would be kind of. I mean, I'll go into it just for the sake of conversation, but from now on, I think maybe I should save my anger a little bit, because I went to the doctor today, and I totally got shafted by my psychiatrist. I set up this appointment because I had been double dosing my Vyvanse because I've been on it for 10 years, so my tolerance is naturally increased. Huh?
Okay, never mind. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, my tolerance has increased because I've been on it for 10 years, and that's just what happens when you're on a drug for a long time, especially a stimulant. You just get used to it, and your body metabolizes it faster and gets used to the drug. And it's a prodrug, so it dissolves in the lower intestine, I think, and that's where it turns into dexedrine. And then it's pretty much like a military performance enhancing drug that I use because I'm really lazy, and it just gets me up and at 'em. And anyway, I went to the doctor because I was like, hey, this isn't working anymore, and she freaked out because it's like she wants me to lie to her. Like, she's conditioning me to lie to her because if I tell her the truth and say I need more, then she hits a button that says, oh, cancel the medication, alarm bells ring, I need to send you back to your primary care physician because this is drug seeking behavior. And it's like, me, I've been talking to you for years now, and it's like all of a sudden you're treating me like a stranger. It's like you don't respect me at all. And that just kind of gets on my nerves because she's a psychiatrist. She's supposed to have people skills, right? That's what they're for. You're supposed to talk to them. But she said I was talking back to her and stuff by arguing, by saying
Wait,
no. Huh?
Is she your psychiatrist or?
She's my psychiatrist. Yeah, it's a.
Okay, so are psychiatrists really supposed to try to be your therapist?
They don't provide therapy, no, but they're at least supposed to be understanding and give you an open forum for you to be honest with them, so that you can tell them what you need as a patient. But she acts like I have no idea what I need. I just have kind of a youthful appearance and demeanor, so she treats me like a child, even though I'm almost 30 now. So I think she just doesn't really see me or take me seriously as an adult who knows what he needs and wants, and I know how my body operates and how it responds to the drug at this point, and she is just totally overlooking that in favor of her own expertise, quote unquote, as a doctor from 4 years of medical school she got in India maybe 25 years ago.
In India? I'm sure she did not go to Indian medical school.
Well, she's Indian. I just wanted to bring that up, that she is Indian, and I have kind of a bias against Indian doctors because I feel like they it is kind of a racist sentiment, but it's because they don't really seem to relate to white patients. We touched upon this in a previous episode about how they kind of treat minorities with more because they feel like they come from the same background of subjugation, even though they managed to get free. Or they probably, it would be via affirmative action programs, probably free education, practically free.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that bit. Yeah, should we have doctors of a different race than us? I mean,
I don't think we should. I think that they should take that into account. But
yeah, we're phenotypically different,
Well, they don't like the optics of that kind of policy. I guess people wouldn't want to read into the fine print of why that actually isn't helpful for people to have doctors of a different race, because racial science isn't it's racist. People can't differentiate between racial and racist anymore, apparently. It's you can't even acknowledge that they exist, different races. Wow, what? No, we're all the same. I don't see color.
I think it could work though. It'll be shitty, but if you frame it a certain way, you could be oh, these white doctors are trying to tell me about my black body, my Asian body. How would they know? They're not of a phenotypical type than me, and I'm sick and tired of these white doctors applying their white standards of health and wellness on. You could actually take that pretty far. It's just not
it's actually it's a pretty good point because I mean, you're not allowed to it's like making it's otherism. It's like making somebody seem like they're different from what they actually are physically. Physiologically, people have different bodies if they're of different races. And so like she
Yeah.
sees me. She said I was underweight and small and susceptible to a heart attack. And small as in like my weight. It's like I'm about like 145 pounds, and I'm well. I feel like I'm bragging whenever I say my height, but I'm about 6'3", and this looks like this looks freakish to people. They see this and they're like, that's a person that's about to die or kill someone. And no, it's just like I have like an ectomorphic body type, and it's just the way that I work. It's like, like if I'm fat, then my body starts to fail. It doesn't like my organs start like not working like this. Like if I was I tried this thing where I would like overeat because I thought it would be funny to be fat. I was like, I've been skinny my entire life. Let's see what happens if I get fat. Like that would be funny, because I was just bored and had nothing to do. I was like, I'll just get fat, and I couldn't do it. Like I physically, like if I ate too much, my brain stopped working. I was like forgetting like what I was even like trying to do. Was I trying to eat for a reason? I don't know. I don't want to eat anymore. Like my body just wants me to be at a certain weight, and I've been at this static 145, 150 for my entire life. Well, at least like after puberty.
Yeah, it's really funny that you talk about like perception, how like people look at you and be like, this guy's gonna die soon or he's gonna kill somebody. I mean, and then if you put me next to you, they'll be like, oh, look at that nice, upstanding Asian gentleman. But in like reality, like I think I'm way more likely to fucking kill someone than you would be, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you would probably stand to gain more, I guess, mentally. I feel like me, it's just maybe it's taken less seriously because it's seen as like a white bread thing to say. Like it's like what white boys will do to seem edgy. Like I'm gonna dress up in Megadeth shirts and purport that I'm like really pro gun, and because like we don't really have any other way to just we have like a distinctive masculine quality as opposed to other races. Like we have like the least testosterone of any race, like white people. Like well, I think Asians might actually have less testosterone, but like
yeah, we're the BuzzFeed guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, still, I think like you have more drive than I do, just inherently, or more work ethic. I don't know, that might be your upbringing, but I think there might be a genetic basis to that. Like Asians are like they're typified as like hardworking, and I don't think that's like just due to a cultural influence that's been compounded over time. I think that might have like a genetic root. But
I don't know, man. I can't even exactly relate to other Asians either. It's just like my motivation doesn't really come from like the strict discipline of an Asian upbringing. I would say it comes more from like, like really personal, like lived experiences. Like I don't know any other Asian who's been through a group home, but I've been to a group home. And honestly, like when you're a teen and you're in that kind of environment and you're living with those inner city boys, to put it lightly, I guess, fucking you realize like, I'm lucky compared to we're all in the same group home, but like when we get out of here, like most of those dudes are probably gonna end up either fucking dead or in jail. Like
that is
a lot of that.
Because I mean, you said that you have like kind of a good relationship with your dad now, but like how did you end up in a group home if you have like if you know your father and you're talking with him regularly, then it seems like you reconciled at some point or what?
All right, so between like me and my dad, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, my mom and dad split. So like we've always just pretty much been me and my dad. She's doing all right. She's somewhere. Mm-hmm. I don't really bother with her. It's not that I pay her mind. But my dad, we had this kind of like he had me when he was really young. So we had this like brotherly relationship kind of, and that happened that was like all my whole childhood between us. But what ended up happening was like he as soon as I turned 14. That's when I started acting up a bit. I was always like a straight A student up until then. Like I did very well in school and all that shit. But when I was 14, I don't know what happened. I just could not find it in me to give a shit. I just did not feel like at all like something like I was supposed to be doing, not internally, not externally. Like nobody was telling me like why I should be doing this, why I should be trying so hard in school, And I didn't even fuck up that bad. All I did was I ran away from home like one night. Huh. One night I ran away from home while living with my aunt and my uncle, and I stayed with my friends. And the next day, the whole family freaked out. Mainly because probably like I never did anything like that before, but everyone freaked out. Everyone just automatically assumed the worst.
Well, I mean, if you're living with your aunt and uncle, that's not exactly like kind of a, from birth like kind of like one of those like comforting. Like a child and parent relationships where you would feel like it would be like kind of a betrayal to run out on them, but like with an aunt and uncle, I can see that happening like pretty easily. I mean, it's like living with a grandparent. It's like
But the thing is with my aunt and my uncles is, since my dad had me when he was young,
Well,
my
why
aunt
were
and
you
my
living with them in
uncles
the
were
first place? Like your parents couldn't provide for you, or what?
No, it's just like, all right, this is actually really funny.
Uh-huh.
So my dad had me when he was 21,
Yeah.
and he left me with my grandmother primarily to be raised. Because I don't know if you know this about my dad, but he wasn't exactly the most ideal parental model when he had me. Like, you know what his job was? Did I tell you?
Oh, what was he, a mafia member?
Yeah, he was a fucking gangster. Like, he wasn't like, an elite or like an officer or anything like that within their ranks. He was just really good at what he did, which was like beating the snot out of people. It's just what he was taught. It's what he got good at. And what his job was to go collect debts. Like if you're like a Korean business owner and you borrow money from one of these gangsters and you fail to pay it back, they would send a guy like my dad,
Like a
who
loan
would
shark.
go in, yeah, and break your fucking legs if you don't pay his boss. So that's
So
what my
you're a
dad's job
Korean loan shark working for a Jewish loan shark.
No, I mean, when my dad when my dad like had me, he left the gang. He stopped with all like the gang activity, and he didn't really, yeah, he stopped being a gangster. But he told me, he was like, I left you with your grandmother as a child because I had a life to live at that point. And I said fair enough. Like, it's not like I resented the answer. I was like, it's not like I had a miserable time living with my grandmother. It's just that's how it went down. So like so that being said, it's like since my dad was really young when he had me, my aunts and my uncles were also like really young too. So it was kind of like being raised by like the whole family. It's like they were his. It's like my brother's kid. Like I gotta help my brother's kid or watch my brother's kid and then they would pass me on to like another aunt who would be like, oh yeah, that's Chris. And I was really tight with all of them. I kind of grew up with them too.
Yeah.
So
What does your mother do?
I have no fucking clue. I don't know what she fucking does. I'm pretty sure she's just a stay-at-home mom. I never really bothered to find out. I still don't really care, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
It's
I'd
not
be
like I
curious,
ever-
just to know.
Nah, I guess it's like a let sleeping dogs lie kind of thing.
You don't want to like reignite any kind of relationship that might like falter again.
Exactly, because like at this point in my life, I'm already in like a tumultuous, like kind of place with. I mean, I've already did it before. I mean, we're good now because I'm a fucking adult. Like they don't have to. I'm not beholden to them, and vice versa.
Mhm.
But back then, when I was a teen, I ran away from home once, and then everyone assumes the worst, and I go back to live with my grandmother. And my grades started falling. I stopped going to school completely. I started getting arrested for graffiti. I started smoking cigarettes. Then in response, like my dad just started getting like really, really violent. Like he started beating the shit out of me. He fucking, it just got really bad because, at that point he thought he got scared. He was like, I hope he's turning out just like me. I know this is what's happening. It's gonna happen.
And he doesn't really know any other way to parents, like other than beating you.
Exactly, because that's what his dad did.
Cycle of abuse.
And it's all he knew. He literally moved here as a kid in New York City, like race war New York City back in the fucking 70s. Like you can only imagine like the shit he's seen, the shit he's done, the shit that's done to him, like who knows. So it's like, he did that. And then one time he beat my ass so hard that like my eardrum perforated. And that was when I got so mad that I literally ratted him out to the teacher, knowing full well that like the cops would show up, arrest him. And at that point I was like so mad at him, I was literally hoping they would fucking kill him, like, so like, that happened. And then he went to jail, right?
Yeah.
And because he went to jail, that's my parent, my legal guardian that can no longer fucking
Provide for you,
hold
no.
custody, and he didn't do time or anything, like like it's not like I pressed formal charges or pressed for like more punitive measures. I just wanted to get him the fuck off my back. So he spends a couple
How old are you at this point?
Fucking I want to say like 15.
Okay.
So yeah, that whole drama happens, and like and because like by then I was technically a ward of the state. Because my stepmom ceded custody of me, my grandma couldn't do it, so I ended up, in the custody of the state, and like, and I was a bad kid. Like I'll admit that I wasn't like a nasty kid, but I was like, I knew how to like fuck shit up.
So you're in custody. This is after you had ran away from your uncle and aunt's house.
Yeah, this is already like deep, past that, and fucking
And that's why they didn't like come and take care of you, because like you had like history of running out on your family members, even though they were trying to raise you while your parents couldn't.
Well, it's also like they kind of assumed that I didn't really want anything to do with them, and at the time they were kind of right. You know, I really,
Well, I thought you just said that
you
you're
know,
like tight with all of them.
well, I was, but then like, you know, as a teenager trying to find your way, and you realize your family only knows one certain way of like growing
So
up
they weren't
in
like
America.
understanding of your teenage, like kind of acting out, adolescent, all that shit.
It's not even just that. It's like I didn't even know how the fuck I could ever talk to them about it. You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, you live with people long enough, you kind of definitely know them very well. So it's like you already know.
So
It's
like it was
there's
like a
no
perfect
way.
storm that like led you to be abandoned, essentially. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, by the time I was awarded the state, I was still living at my grandma's house, but I was like, I was still doing mad illegal shit.
Mhm.
I was getting arrested constantly for truancy and graffiti and stuff like that. And eventually, yeah, I just they were like, all right, well, we're not just gonna throw you in jail because you didn't do like anything terrible. It's all misdemeanor shit, you know, it's all stupid kid shit. But at the same time, we can't do nothing because then our legal system would be a joke. So they just like remanded me to a group home. You know, they were like, they basically treated it as if like I was either, you know, like nobody in my family could like has the ability to take care of me as a minor, or you know, or it's like literally like what the fuck else are we gonna do with you, you know? So like we don't want to send you to jail, so because you're a nice little Asian boy, you're just misunderstood. You know?
yeah, so let's
And
put you
that's
in
how,
this home with a bunch of gangsters and kids that also came from violent upbringings, and that'll make you better because you'll be around kids that are just like you.
I mean, yo, the fucked up part is it fucking worked. Like when I was in there,
Why? Because you saw all them
man,
and you're like, I don't want to end up like them. So it's like a deterrent.
No,
It's like a
it's
scared
most
straight
like
program.
no. It's mostly like a truth that you're forced to look at, which was
Yeah.
my life will never be like theirs, and their life will never be like mine. We're literally just two ships passing in the night through this place, but where they're going fucking sucks. Where I'm going doesn't have to suck. So I decided to go to a place that doesn't suck, and here we are. I mean,
Well,
I
it's like
definitely
you just disagreed with me, and then you were like, okay, well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
No, wait, what did you say?
I said it was like a
you said-
deterrent because you saw all them, you didn't want to end up like them, so you wanted to go your own way, which is successful and productive and, you know, healthy for you in the long
Oh
run.
no! I mean, but that would be. I feel like that comes from a place of judgment. You know, it's not like I was
Well,
judging
I'm not
them
trying to like
for it. It's
criticize
not
you or
like
anything. I'm just saying like that's probably the way it was. I mean, it's just like just because it's critical doesn't mean it's detrimental to you. I mean,
actually, you know what? Yeah, you are stating a fact. Like most people who would be in that situation would be like, I don't want to end up like them. Yeah, I guess I should have said that. That went without. You know, that wasn't even a
how
passing
did
thought.
this even get brought up? I forgot how we got on the subject of.
Because you were saying like where my motivation comes from, and I was like, yo, listen, it was from some like real personal experiences.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to be racist and say that it was because you were Asian. Then you're.
Oh, but I mean, I don't think that would have been enough. I mean, because like, I wasn't. That didn't stick.
Well, it's
to me,
definitely like a
that didn't fit.
generalization, but there might be a genetic component. I mean, I feel like you're selling yourself short by saying you have no like innate aptitude. Like to say it's all nurture and no nature. It's kind of like saying like, oh well, you don't have any like talent, but you do have a lot of motivation. And I feel like you do have talent, and you might like you could like be able to unlock that talent if you weren't so like hard on yourself because of your upbringing and have to like identify as the kid that you were, and like the decisions that you made back then, like they don't have to be the way that you live right now. I mean, you can just at any moment you could change the course of your life. Like I feel like it's kind of like I was watching this Patrice O'Neill special the other day about how he thinks that nobody can really reinvent themselves or improve once they're in their like 30s and 40s. It's like just stop, like because he didn't think like his friends that were trying to go to school in their 40s. He thought it was like kind of a pathetic act of, you know, trying to like better themselves or rise themselves or uplift themselves above their peers. And I think he felt like kind of threatened by that. So he like made a comedy bit about how it was like a kind of a futile thing. But I don't think that's true because like I've known a lot of people that reinvent themselves in their 40s and even 50s. I mean, your prime doesn't have to be like early. Like I think people think that their mental prime coincides with their physical prime, which is usually in their like mid to late 20s. But the mental prime can usually be, I think it's like more like the early 40s. So, and then after like 45, it kind of plateaus for a while, and then after 65, it declines. But a lot of people think it peaks like earlier, and then their attitude kind of it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They think that their life is over, so then their life just happens to be over because their behavior follows their decision that their life is indeed over, and it doesn't have to be. Like I don't know, like maybe this is coming from a privileged standpoint because it's hard for me to really relate with the group home thing because I was raised in kind of like I was an only child, so my parents didn't really have much trouble raising me or providing for me. They didn't have they didn't run out of resources, and I was like a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was always like, I didn't want to get into trouble. I just wanted to be left alone. So like, I mean, I acted out a little bit when I was in my teens. Like I would stay out after school and say I was going to the library, and really I would just hang out with some kids and smoke weed. And I remember one time I did K2 and had a seizure, and my mom picked me up right after.
Classic.
Right after I had the seizure, my mom picked me up, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like catatonic and unable to speak, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She was like, "I think you're on drugs of some sort. Are you okay?" Like, and I was paralyzed with fear that she was gonna like reprimand me for not doing drugs, but she was actually trying to be like a cool mom about it and be like, "Yeah, when I was your age, I tried a little reefer, Like she's just totally unaware of like what drugs are out there. I think she smoked like a joint once. Like she's so clean cut and has never really done anything too wild. But yeah, like that's about the extent of my adolescence. Well, I mean, sure. Like later on, I did get into trouble with shoplifting and burglary, but that was that's a different story. But that's irrelevant.
I love your fucking stories, man. The cat one, that was so good. Instant classic. 100%. I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
It's true. Like, it came from a place of truth, so I didn't feel like weird for telling like a lie. Like I can't lie very easily, and I feel bad about it.
If you wanted to include that in a set, that story, and make it a bit somehow, and you had to like punch it up, that's one of the rare stories that I've seen where you'd actually have to like trim it down to make it more palatable. Like usually, you exaggerate personal stories to kind of use in a bit for a set, right? But that's like a story where you just omit certain things or like just kind of like dumb it down a little bit,
Yeah.
Because like I don't know. I mean, some people might just find it way too raw.
Well,
but
it was kind of geared towards the podcast format, which is meant to burn time and be like stretched out. So like I was trying to like stretch it out to make it like a full-fledged bit, and I was trying to like add like a lot of like extraneous details to spice it up, and that wouldn't be like really conducive to a stand-up set where you're just trying to like get all the big hits in like a rapid succession. So it was more of like kind of a meandering storytelling kind of like, oh well, once upon a time, and trying to like entertain a group of people. And I kind of like I prefer that format to stand up, and maybe that's just me coping because I'm too afraid to do stand up, and I'm trying to like come up with reasons not to do it because like it's like here I can perform because nobody can see me, but it's maybe if I get like a webcam on me, it'll help me desensitize myself to that. But
honestly, I'm gonna say it. You always hear me saying shit like this, but it's practice. That's all you can do. You got to do the work, just repetition.
I know. It's hard. It's hard to take that first step, which kind of negates my earlier point of like it's never too late.
Because the first step is always the worst. Your first attempts are always going to be your worst because you don't know what the fuck you're really doing because you've never done it. So that's why I say like nothing trumps experience, right? Like once you go through it, you've gone through it. What is there really to be afraid of at that point? I mean, sure, you could be like, you could have anxiety about it because it didn't feel good the first time, but once you feel it the first time, you're definitely less afraid of it, and then you just run with it. You keep it going.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, I was a little. My cat's throwing up right in front of me. So, but I did. Yeah, I agree with all that.
Aw.
And I'm just gonna let the vomit dry up, and I'll trip over it later and clean up.
Oh, my cat's sleeping right behind me, this little guy. Oh man, so wait, I feel like you said something before, something about, oh yeah, all right, so it's not that I perceive like being 30 as like, oh, that's too
something
old.
Martha said earlier, it might,
no, I mean, I'm not,
make
but
you feel good about yourself. She said you looked 12. And like I think that's a good thing. Like once you're in your 30s, you don't want to look like an adult anymore. You want to look like a kid.
Wait, who said that?
Martha.
Well, I'm saying like, the thing that for me, it's not like I'm too old. It's more like I feel like I'm already dead, and I'm just trying to make the best use of the time I already have.
Why do you feel like you're already dead?
That makes sense. I mean, because that's everyone's ultimate destiny, right? You might as well be dead because you're going to die. That's not a question.
What?
That's not up for No, I mean, you're going to
Well,
die.
yeah,
like,
but the logic
everyone,
doesn't make any sense to me. Like, to me, like, while you're alive, you should make yourself as vibrant as possible. Like, well, don't resign yourself to death just because you know it's coming. I feel like that's kind of...
Well, I think if you were to really interpret that, what it really means is more like, I guess what's really alluding to, it's like just the thought process is kind of like supposed to simulate a near death experience. You know, to say the words or to hear it, you're already dead.
And did you
right?
feel like a
It's
near-death experience would give you more character, and that's why you want to simulate it?
I mean, it's not that it gives you more character. All it does is really there's all right. First of all, there's so many classical works of literature that exemplify how people either confront death or like come close to facing
Because
it.
it's an
like,
intense subject. It's like the most intense obstacle you ever have to face.
Yeah,
it's a trial that everybody has to go through, so it kind of binds everybody. You know, it's something that's truly universal.
But what generally happens to a person when they're put in a situation where they don't just think they're gonna die, they know they're gonna die at that moment, and then they don't. Like, what do you think happens? They literally appreciate shit so much more. They fucking do, and I can't unlearn what that feels like. Like, you know, once you go through it, once you feel it, you're like, all right, well,
you felt
life
that?
really
I thought
is.
you've been trying to simulate that, and that's because you hadn't felt that.
No, I already felt it before, and that's just.
Like, how do you know?
Oh my God, take your pick. Like, I've almost died so many fucking times.
I mean, I almost
bike-
died today just driving, but like, I didn't know I was going to die. I was like, this might be it.
Here's a fun story. I don't know if I told this on the podcast before. Did I tell you about my acid journey on one Halloween?
Wait, was that the one where you had to like you kneeled in front of the police officers?
Yeah, because he reached for his gun and he was about to fucking shoot
That
my
was like
ass.
that was on the Chris and Cain episode. That was like one of the first ones.
Oh yeah, and that was like that was one of the moments, like one of the big ones, because like I was literally so close to getting fucking lit up like a Christmas tree. Like it would have been. He was about to turn me into.
Do you
Swiss
think it was
cheese.
because were they white cops?
Yeah, of course. There was a like a group of like 3 white cops and like 1 lady Indian cop. I don't know. She was some kind of brown, you know.
Do you think you felt like you were more likely to get shot because you were brownish, yellow?
No, I feel like I was more likely to get shot because off the jump, I pretty much told them, it's like, yo, I'm on drugs. I'm on hallucinogenics.
Well, that's exactly what they wouldn't shoot you for. Like, because you're being honest and you're saying that. They're not going to shoot a hippie on acid.
No, dude, it's a reflexive thing. Like, you know, it's what you're drilled and trained to do. If someone looks like they're going to get aggressive, and I did look like I was going to get aggressive.
I don't think police officers are drilled and trained like Marines are. I mean, they're trying, like a police officer, they're trying to diffuse a situation.
No, what's a police officer's real main directive?
To diffuse a situation, and you know,
no,
it's to lower civil unrest. That's what they're here for. They're supposed to keep the peace.
No, all right, yeah, that's what they're here for. But personally, you know, you think of what goes through a cop's mind. What do you think is their main concern every fucking day?
Are you gonna go to some like ACAB lecture right now?
Absolutely not. What do you think? Like, honestly, I'm asking you a question.
I think cops are maybe a little bit dumb, but I think they have good intentions. Like I think
honestly, I think every day the number one thought on a cop's mind is just, I just don't want to fucking die today. Like, I don't want to die for this fucking job. I don't want to fucking end up in a pine box as a fucking hero. I don't want that shit. I want to go home. I want to fuck my wife. I want to see my kids.
I don't think they're that self-aware. Like I said, I think they're a little bit dumb. I think they actually.
Are you kidding me, dude?
They're heroes.
No, dude, they're like nurses, man. They see the most fucked up shit, and it's like normal for them because they're the first people you call.
If it's normal for them and they're desensitized to it, they're not going to wake up in fear every day. Like, oh my god, I might die today.
No, it's not. I'm not saying they're like breaking out in cold sweat every day they go to fucking work, but it's definitely like, you know, they're just like, oh, did you hear about Rodriguez from Precinct 122? Yeah, he bit the bullet. That sucks, man. That could have been any one of us. And you hear the stories like that.
They
love
action. Like, they're bored. They just want to get some action.
I mean, no. See, that's an assumption. You can't say they all want action.
I feel like we're both assuming a lot because neither of us are cops and we don't know any cops personally, or at least not enough to like say anything about.
What I'm trying to do is
I'm
trying to be the most like reasonable and rational about it.
I think I am too. I'm not trying to just be funny. Like I'm just trying to be. This is how I genuinely think cops are.
Yeah, but every human's number one directive, no matter if you're a cop or a nurse or a teacher or whatever.
Directive for a human is to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe assumption.
So, and you know, like cops are cops. Yeah, they have authority, but at the same time, they're still human beings. B, they are the people who are supposed to respond first. Like, that's their job. Like, that's how this system works. That's how this infrastructure
Depending
goes.
on the
That should
incident, I mean,
happen.
paramedics might be the ones that want to respond first.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's kind of
Or
that's kind of a
firefighters.
petty nitpick, anyway.
No, but you know what I meant,
Yeah.
basically. You know, like, but I think the nurse is like a great parallel with a cop. I think that's a lot of the reason why like cops and nurses are the only ones who really make their relationship work out the most often. You know, with like the least issues. Because you know they kind of understand each other the best. Like, you know, being a cop's wife must fucking suck. Even a cop's husband can probably kind of suck. Actually, you know,
Reminds me of that
having a
like cop from South Park who like comes home and she has like this Irish wife who's always, just be safer, dear. Come back home tonight, honey. Don't go out there. Don't do it. I'm a cop. I have to go out on these streets every day because that's my job. Just like shit's come into a bag for the evidence.
Oh my
Remember
god.
that episode where he like pretended to be a prostitute and he like actually like went too far? He like waited for them to climax and he's like the climax. That was like when he was like, okay, go. He climaxed. That means like he's an actual John. This guy means
Is this
business.
a newer episode?
Huh?
Is this a newer episode?
No, this is maybe like season 15 or so. It was like mid.
Okay. Did you notice how like in South Park, like the show in the early seasons only had one cop in like the whole town, Officer Bar Brady, I think his name is.
Yeah. And
then they
I
started.
think they
he
introduced
had
him in the
police
chicken
depart-
fucker episode.
Yeah. The chicken. That was a good episode.
Yeah, it was like season 2, I think. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, the title speaks for itself. He was just trying to figure out who was fucking all the chickens in town, and then he was like completely incompetent and unable to do it. And
my
they just
God.
portrayed him as
There
like
was-
this fucking retard that is like in charge.
Wait, isn't that because he couldn't read? Like that was the whole conflict with Officer Bar Brady. He
couldn't read in every sense of the word. He couldn't read English. He couldn't read people. He couldn't read subtext. He couldn't read anything. Couldn't.
Yeah, no, but
evidence or
I think
clues.
that was like a big part because like he would like stare at a stop sign and it just suddenly turned Korean to him and he's like, what?
The words are interchangeable. He's like a dyslexic or something. Yeah. I can't remember
Yo,
who specifically, but that was the general gist of the episode.
Oh my God, I was listening to NPR, and like they were interviewing this dyslexic kid, and he was basically just like describing his life with fucking dyslexia, and the guy interviewing him, he was like kind of like narrating over while he was talking. He's like, I asked him to spell the word, and he is now attempting to do it, and he's using this thought process. Look how slow he is. Look how fucking retarded he is. Could you
Fucking roasting the
imagine? Could you imagine living like that? And he would just tell the kid to spell words like, spell ventriloquist. The kid's like,
It's just like, I can't. Like, sorry, I'm unable to spell it. And he's just like, look at that. Isn't that sad? What a
I was
life
like-
living with dyslexia.
I was like, what a fucking dick, yo. Like, if I was that kid, I would have kicked that guy in the dick.
It's a tale as old as time. Is like these freak show. It's like it's like a modern day freak show. It's like, look at this kid who can't do this, or it's like one of those. What's like a good example of a freak? Like a bearded lady. Look at this lady that can't not grow hair on her face. Isn't that a handicap that you feel sorry for? And everybody's like, oh my god, can't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Eric actually provided like a good content for us to talk about in the chat. Was that the girl with psoriasis, Claire's psoriasis, and how like all these Instagram accounts are just like people identifying themselves by the disease they have. Like, what a pathetic identity, right?
I like how Eric.
I have psoriasis. That's who I am.
I like how Erica was like, "Why are these people so happy? It's so insane. They shouldn't be this
She's
happy."
right. It doesn't make any sense. Like intuitively, it doesn't. But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, yeah, they're happy because they have to be.
Oh, that's great. It's terrible, but it's great.
Often
Why is this burn victim smiling and enjoying his life? What the fuck is wrong with this world?
He should be unhappy. Shame, burn victim. Don't be happy.
Oh my god, that's so bad.
Well, I mean, that's the point.
Yo, it was weird in the chat how like, how Mike Rust kept going like, "Oh, I cannot wait to be on the next Terrorisk episode." I was like, "Motherfucker,
He's
you
never
know,
gonna be on Terrorisk.
I'm just gonna keep assuming that nobody's fucking listening to the show. Nobody ever clicks on our YouTube link. I'm just gonna keep doing it. You know, I like it.
That
It's like,
humility makes us better.
Exactly. You know, it's like it also kind of takes the pressure off. You know, like I know like one of the biggest things about being a quote unquote content creator is you start to get like real serious anxiety if you, especially it's most prominent in like the YouTubers who like do it for a living, who don't have
Because
like a
they're
form.
competing with like thousands of other people who are trying to do the same thing.
Exactly. You can't do it for a living unless you're already like rich, you know? Like I feel like if you just quit your day job to try to make
Or
content.
you have to like start it really early. It's like a right time, right place kind of thing, or a time and place. Yeah, yeah. You have to be like in there when there's a high demand for it. Nobody else is doing it. Then if you're the original person, then everybody else gets written off as a copycat. So it's like the original like Twitch streamers or whatever, like Destiny, for instance. Like if you're a Destiny, then you don't really have to try. You just have to like have that name. It's branding, because like people know you as the guy who started it all. So I feel like people like us, like Come Town is kind of like ruined this kind of format, because everybody just talks about how like Come Town is like the perfect formula, and then everybody else is just trying to like mimic that formula but add like enough unique characteristics to make it our own thing, but really it's just kind of like a bastardization because
Honestly,
they did it best.
I don't really think of Cumtown like that. Like, cause you gotta understand, like, I didn't come into this podcaster as like, you know, a person who like just. My thing was sound. Like my thing was recording shit, like recording vocals,
I mean, it
producing
still
music.
is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when I came into this like knowing full well how to like do this audio shit. And I think with the Cumtown guys, I mean, their main thing wasn't really media related. Like it's not like they create content, you know, as their like life passions. They create art, a kind of art, but it's not like, you know, they're on like really production minded people. Like they keep it so bare bones because it's the easiest to edit, it's the easiest to put out. I mean, it makes sense.
You can only go so far with editing. Like what's
Yeah.
editing do? It's just
But
it's kind of like novelty, it's gimmicks pretty much. You can insert like sound effects and whatnot, but like the meat of the content is what people are talking about. So all you have to do is
Yeah.
make sure that the voices are clear enough to be heard, and that's like about the extent of what editing can do for a podcast.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you could also add like segments, you know, you could do like music performances. You could do fucking, you know, you could also like, you could facilitate a bunch of cool shit.
That's like a lot of like, it's kind of NPR-esque, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean,
It's like this radio broadcast is going to be intermittently broken up by interludes where we have music. And like,
Yeah, but no,
Comtown,
but
I feel like they
no.
are so successful because they only focus on one thing. They're
No,
not
no, no,
trying
but
to
we're
be a
not.
jack of all trades.
But it wouldn't be like being NPR because you know, I'd say like being a internet content creator of any kind, you have way more flexibility. You're not just limited to like broadband radio. You could literally just like put out videos and shit, and millions of more people are probably likely to fucking, you know, watch it than they would be like.
You know what I think our
tuning-
problem is? I think we try too hard.
I don't think we try hard at all. Like, dude, this isn't hard for me. I don't know if it's hard for you. Like, what do I set up a mic?
We're trying too hard to be serious. We're trying too hard to be taken seriously, I think.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
Like, when have we ever betrayed being taken seriously by other people? If anything, it's almost like we do this just to put our goofy asses in people's fucking faces, you know?
If you like
fine.
juxtapose this with like a Cumtown episode, they're talking about like Adam having like a nipple lotion for his girlfriend.
Well,
And-
yo, let me explain that to you, dude. The
What?
reason why, straight up, it's because like they're already in a casual recording setting every time. They're in the same fucking room, you know, like they hang out in person.
What do you think
all the
this like
time.
alienates us from each other because we can't see each other physically?
No, it's not that. It's just like when we actually do have the time and effort set aside to make something like this, there's like a little bit more at stake, you know? Like if they fuck up, they could always just be like, well, we could just meet up tomorrow. I mean, we're going to see each other anyway and try over. Like with
Yeah,
us,
they like
it's
have
like,
lunch together and stuff and see movies and shit.
Exactly. But with us, it's like our time is more precious. So when we actually get time to get together
Yeah,
and make
so
something
I feel like
this,
we try too hard during our time, and it kind of limits us because it makes us too uptight. I feel like.
Nah, I think
we're
what-
limiting ourselves creatively by being uptight.
I think we're the
and having,
most
like,
I think we're the most uptight, like leading up to the recording
We're trying
process.
to be like important, you know. We're trying to make important comedy, and it just makes us look lame. I think.
Oh, dude, hell no. I mean, first of all, like, I never considered myself a proficiently funny person. Like, I never thought of myself as a person who's
Well,
just
me neither.
naturally.
I mean, I was just, you know, people laugh at me because I have no shame and I'll just embarrass myself for no reason, and people are just like, oh my god, I couldn't do that.
Exactly. And then notice how like when we record, like the moments we go for are moments like that. When we just like kind of like let the inhibitions go and just kind of like let it out. I mean,
But it takes
the
a while to get to that point. Like we have like all this official like preliminary dialogue where we have to set up things, and then we can start like.
Nah, I think we're in our best place now, because it's like, if by some miracle we happen to get like the other half of our ambassador list filled, and suddenly we're like reading ads and shit for like shit we don't care about but have to pretend to, that's when it's going to become a little more, like a little more annoying, But right now
Well,
we're
that's
we're
fun.
literally
Like it gives us material to play with, and we can like not take it seriously and kind of like shit on the people that we're advertising for at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the idea.
That sounds
Like,
fun. Yeah,
well,
it does sound fun.
If you ever watched like Norm Macdonald live, he would like do these advertisements for Dollar Shave Club, and he would just do it so like incessantly. He would just Dollar Shave Club, only $1. Make sure you sign up for Dollar Shave Club because it's only $1. And make sure that because it's only $1, you have to sign up for Dollar Shave Club today. Isn't that right, Adam? And Adam's like, mm-hmm. And he just like keeps going on and on about Dollar Shave Club and how it's $1 to make fun of their branding, which is it's $1. Like that, he's making fun of the fact that they're trying to be too minimal. And like I think that's like something that we could get into. Is just making fun of the advertisements for trying to be unique in some way by like.
And the funny part is, there's like no shortage of like companies like that popping up, just like pumping out some bullshit novelty product, because like a lot of the people who sell that, they don't manufacture their own goods. What they do is they either fucking go on Etsy and find like a specific crafted item and like literally keep commissioning that one person. It's like, yo, this is our brand. You're going to keep making these, and then we're going to sell it, whether it's like the Ridge wallet or Razor or something that they could just make efficiently and cheaply, and then they basically pay for the expense. Or
well, they're like identifying themselves by how cheap the razors are. And I mean,
it's the middle.
Razors are cheap. I mean, it's not like
they're the middleman. I bet you anything, like those razors come from like an exclusive deal with some guy they found off Alibaba, which is some guy in China.
Sam's Club or something, and then rebrand them.
No, they don't buy. I mean, it's why buy in bulk? You could literally just like go on the internet, talk to someone in China, and they all speak English, and like be like, yo, what do you manufacture? That's what Alibaba's about. Like, you're supposed to go there and like find shit in bulk that you need, and then you literally buy a shitload of it and you resell it, you rebrand it, you resell it. That's what they tell you to do.
So you just negated your own point. Why buy in bulk? So you can go and buy in bulk. I mean,
no. I mean, it's not the same where it's like you have to like have like a bunch of goods sitting in your apartment and then you have to fucking be the one to ship it out yourself. It's like, no, all that is probably handled by a third and fourth party.
It's an analogy. Too. It's abstract thinking, like you were trying to propagate earlier.
No, it's fucking straight up. It's like drop shipping or the arbitrage economy. It's literally just like, all right, take Uber for example. Uber owns like not any one of those cars that we use to taxi us around. They don't own those cars. They don't, and the drivers aren't really their employees. They're just their contractors. And yet Uber makes all the fucking money. Same thing. What else? Like Grubhub. Grubhub doesn't make any fucking food. Spotify, they don't make any music. YouTube doesn't make any content. It's all about arbitrage. It's all about being the middleman, the one who can facilitate you make product, I give to people. Like that's how like the fastest way to get rich now. It's like you don't need anything. You don't need to.
It's all about that. That's all that it's about, is being the middleman. There's no place for being on either side of the middleman. It's just the middleman, because that's
no, but
what's
that's
in demand
not
right
what.
now,
See, what's interesting. What's interesting is that you're pointing out a huge flaw in like the popularity of this business model. Is what's going to happen when you have nothing but middlemen and no producers.
Exactly.
Like it's
about balance. It's all about balance. It's all about this. It's all about that.
I mean, for me, it's like as far as what I personally identify as, like I'm definitely just a producer. I mean, I don't produce anything of value, but I definitely care enough about making shit.
I think you might be right. I think my propensities might be more suited for editing rather than producing, because I feel like I'm better at just cutting down things that are correcting things. Like I'm a female, have like a female brain. Like male brains.
Dude, straight up, that's what I do. That's what I do for my singer all the time. Like what she does is she writes me lines. And then she writes me lines that she wants to use as lyrics, and then I would look at it and I would be like, dude, this is way too bloated. Like, there's too many words. So I would first of all, I would trim down like unnecessary words. Second, I would swap out like,
It makes me feel like kind of like unimportant, Like all I'm doing is it's like I'm marginalizing things. That's all.
But
I'm
I think
making things.
I think editors do like a little more than that, to be honest. Like I think to be an editor, you have to like be really integrated with like the creative process of something, you know, whatever it is you're editing.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, I would like to be a producer and an editor, but I guess it's better to like just focus on one thing. But I do this because I don't want to edit. Like editing is like something I could do as a job to make money, and this I think is something I would rather do for fun.
What, the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time like trying to balance the two things, like something that would be fun for me and something that would also make money for me.
Dude, don't even. I mean, I know this is harder in your case, but it's like in my case, like you know, I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna quit my fucking day job over this. But at the same time, it's like, you know, like it's almost like the fact that I can afford to like keep it going, to keep the lights on. It's like kind of acts as like a quasi like, you know, well. It's like when you know when you have when you can't do it, when you're less in a position to like gamble your time away into a fucking thing like this, as opposed to like, you know, if you're like, well, I got things like pretty stable right now, I could just like set aside time for a podcast. I mean, you're going into abstract thinking, you know, you're getting into the why, you know, and that's a good thing. That's exactly what I said you did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think I have things like unstable right now. I mean, it's not like my life is in immediate danger. It's things are pretty tranquil around here. So
Yeah, the benefit we have is that the podcast is so fucking easy. But I think aside from just like, you know, being a podcast, whatever, you know, what we try to do with it, I still think it's good for you in a sense where like we get to hang out, you know, and through me, like you have a reason to come visit New York City and we can fucking party and drink and shit and hang out. Like I think that's a good time.
Yeah, and dude, a shit ton of cocaine. I haven't done cocaine in so long.
Cocaine and Call Me by Blondie.
Yeah. Well, Call Me. That's a great song, actually. But
I told you, man, it is a great song.
Well, you didn't have to tell me. I knew it was a great song. I just thought it was like a funny combination, like Call Me by Blondie and cocaine. It's just like, I don't know. It's like harkening back to like old world Hollywood. Cocaine and Call Me by Blondie. It's like the 40s.
Yo, this is awesome. Jess is in the fucking was watching. I don't know. I think he's still watching, but he's like earning badges from being like a regular viewer, you know, and like being a regular. So it's like it's cool that Facebook's rewarding him, you know. Like if I were an actual streamer, like a gaming streamer,
He's the most decorated of our fan club.
I would 100% do it all on Facebook. Like I would not try to go for Twitch or something. I would just try Facebook. But really, like what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to do all of them at once. Like when you go streaming, you set your fucking stream key out and then you put it out to like Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and all that, so that
I think we have a good system here. Like I don't think people want to like look at us personally. Like I think people just want to look at like what we're looking at. So if we like I think the best setup we had so far was like you just scrolling through Twitter and bringing up things that you saw on Twitter that were funny, and then we could like comment on them and riff.
I could probably set that up right now. Yo, but the Twitter, I haven't looked at the Terrorisk Twitter in a while, but I'll check it out.
Honestly, I haven't been contributing at all to like the social media accounts that we have. Like, I don't know.
I think like I was going like really heavy with the memes on the page, but I think I was only trying to get to like 200. I was like, after 200 likes, like I'll chill out. I'll stop like whatever, because like, you know, I think it was like at like 194 and I got so pissed off. I was like, we're like, just give us fucking 6 more, you know, like. So I just kept like posting memes until it filled out, and I was like, word. So that's why I stopped posting.
Yeah. You know, we probably should have gotten a guest for this episode. Like we could have gotten Sabine, but I don't know. I feel bad about trying to like get these tapes out of her, because I feel like she would do it.
We don't have to do that
begrudgingly,
though.
but
we don't have to do that though. We could just hang out with her. We could just have her chill with us. Like it's not a problem, right?
yeah, like I feel like, I don't know, like 2 is not enough for like a good hangout session. Like we're trying too hard to like, oh, whatever. Maybe I'm being too negative.
You know what I really want? I miss Jay so much.
I do.
I just want to get on my knees and like beg him, like, please just come back for one episode, like, Please, Jay, please, I will suck your dick, man. Just do it. Like,
there's something
get
missing,
on.
and it's Jay.
I don't think anything's missing. I don't feel that way, but I do feel like, I miss Jay.
Well, it's nothing personal. I mean, like, yeah, like if you said the same thing, I wouldn't take it personally. It's like it's like an essential part of a group dynamic is having at least like 3 people so you can pass the conversation on to somebody else. And I mean,
Actually,
we had some good like bits, just you and me together, like especially like with the Dr. Cain thing. We can go into the characters and stuff, but like I feel that we need like more of a segue for that to happen, and like that would be more easily achieved if we had like a third party to like bring up subjects like. And Jay knows a lot about, well, I don't know if he knows a lot. Like he knows like a lot about certain subjects, like
Yeah, he does.
like history, World War II, and all that.
He was a teacher. Like his job was literally to educate teens. Like. That's pretty nice. I think. I think you have to be a little clever to be able to do something like that.
What, to be a teacher?
Yeah, but you know what they say: those who can't do teach. Ho ho, zing. Nah, it's not true though. I don't believe that. I mean, it's probably some truth to it, but I don't believe in that whole.
I think Jay's, somewhat clever. I'm gonna relax now. I've been like, I don't know, just petting the cat.
Good. Are you laying down? Are you laying down?
I'm now at a 45-degree angle. My torso is. I was at a 90-degree, but now I'm relaxing because we're almost at the end of the first hour and we have like one person listening to the second hour. So I'm not too concerned. It's like the premium episodes, we don't even have to try because we know that nobody's gonna listen to them. But like these, at least,
but I think we've only gotten the best shit from the premium episodes, which is why we literally had to isolate it and put it on
Well,
you.
it might be because we know that people aren't going to listen to them. It's like we feel less, pressure from the fact that people are listening to this actively.
No,
And
I
really wish that Jess wasn't the only person listening. Like, no heart, like nothing against Jess. It's just, I don't know. I want a little bit of variation.
Yo,
Seems
but
like
think of it this way, right?
Yeah.
I have a friends list of 900 people who barely give a shit about me, which is fine, nothing personal. And then
Dude, I don't know if you noticed, but like my entire friends list is just like friends I've stolen from you and Ivy.
That's
Because
funny.
I had to like rebuild my friends list from scratch, and I didn't want it to be anybody I knew IRL because I just don't want anybody to know that I'm doing this that I know. Like,
Yo,
like, especially
you
my
know what?
family.
That actually makes me feel really good to hear because honestly, this is gonna sound gay and corny, but I think like one of the best things you could do as a person is to build community. And if I could help build community, I will help build community.
Yeah, like it's forcing me to like restart, and like it brings something out of you to have to start from ground zero. So, yeah, I think
Dude,
it's a good
you're talking to a guy who like pretty much made a bomb threat on Facebook, got his whole account deleted. I had like 1,500 people on my friends list, just all got wiped out, and then I had to start all over again. And it was funny. It was really funny.
Well, I thought you
It was
like,
worth
knew,
it.
I thought
I
you
should
knew like
say
a
it
lot
was
of people
worth it.
locally that I mean, so most of your friends list, I would imagine, is composed of people. Apparently, comprised isn't the right word. I learned that recently, but like composed of people that you know IRL from like your DJ sets and whatnot, like, and not like people that you know online exclusively. Like except for maybe through Jay. Like I know like a lot of people through Jay that I wouldn't normally be fraternizing with. Like I didn't like Jay initially. Like I feel like I was looking for a reason not to like him because maybe I was like a little bit jealous that he was like getting so much attention for doing what I deemed to be kind of like boilerplate alt-right and kind of edginess, and like I'm gaining like a newfound appreciation for that. But like I didn't used to like find that fun because I think maybe like a couple of years ago I was just like so fucking jaded with everything. And I wasn't really open to the idea of anything entertaining me again. So whenever something challenged me, I would just like find a way to break it down and destroy it. And like that's what I did with Jay. So maybe I wrote him off prematurely. But yeah, now I think I'm fine. I'm getting into like a more sensible, like an adult mode where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna be here for a while. I might as well learn to enjoy these things.
Good. I'm glad I've been a positive influence on you, Cain.
You have. Like, I still have my fears about you. Like, I still feel like it's just like my underlying paranoia that plagues every aspect of my life where I just feel like everybody's out to get me and, like, this is just a long-term prank that you're doing. But like, it doesn't
No.
make any sense because like, why would you spend this much
dude,
time?
You know what it is? It's like obviously we'd have good chemistry because I personally believe that like, you know, you should feel like not everyone is out to get you, but everyone can get you if they really wanted to. And I think if everyone had that understanding, we would all be living in a more peaceful world. If everyone just realized, yo, we're all angling for power here. We're all trying to leverage whatever we fucking can so that we could have a little bit more agency than we did yesterday.
It's like a delusion of grandeur thing. Like, I feel like I'm so important and like transgressive and provocative that people are just, they want to topple me because I'm just too big to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
See,
well, nobody cares about. Like, I'm just some guy. Like,
Yeah,
people are
nobody
preoccupied with their own lives.
I think we should think of it like nobody wants to fuck you, but they can, which is why we should do our best to like try not to like go out of our way to antagonize
You're
people
just a
impulsively.
sexual being, always making sexual analogies and comparisons. Let's put it in terms of fucking. That you either want to fuck somebody or you don't. Like, why can't we just talk about it literally? But oh wait, yeah, the abstractions. It's like people, they don't want to fuck you. They want to fuck themselves with you.
First of all, you have to use abstraction if you're talking about something that doesn't exist physically, that you can't actually hold in your hand. If you're talking about something and trying to describe something like that, then you
Well, it
have
is
to
physically.
use...
It's like, it's just we're defining a power structure with words. So
No, I mean, like, let's say you wanted to define friendship. You kind of have to use metaphors, you know, like you have to use some form of comparison. You have to draw upon
you
something
don't have
from
to.
your, like,
I mean, it would help a friendship because a friendship
All
is
right,
kind
so
of
then-
based on a casual and like interchange. Like, it's not based on like official terminology that would just be practical. Because like, friendship doesn't really make any sense.
Because if you describe friendship as nothing but a quote unquote casual exchange, then they're gonna be like, oh, so it's like buying something at a store, and then you have to tell like a child, like, no, that's not what friendship is like. Friendship is not like buying something at a store. Friendship
is
more
like a transaction. It's like buying some peanut M&Ms.
No, friendship is more like when you trade Pokemon cards with your friend. You know, like
Friendship
your
is like
friend-
friendship. Friendship is kind of like what it is.
Or another thing is like try defining fucking humor. You know.
Yeah, like humor, I feel like is just recognizing obvious aspects of life that you just overlooked because it's like it's what George Carlin said. He's like a comedian is somebody that reminds you of funny things that you forgot to laugh at the first time they happened. Like, that's what a comedian does. A comedian reminds you of how stupid you are.
Yeah, but that's a skill. I mean, it's because like the thing is, you wouldn't laugh at it in the first place until someone frames it in a way where you could like compare it with something that shouldn't be comparable, but it is if you just frame it in a funny way, and that's what the comedian's job is. That's where the craft is, right?
Yeah, like he came up with this bit about froggy dollies, where you know how like people eat frog legs in France. He was saying like, what happens to the other half of the frog? There's like there's hundreds of thousands of frogs just rolling around on wheels
with
now.
no legs.
Yeah, so and he doesn't really recognize the fact that the frog likely died in the process of removing the legs, but he's anthropomorphizing it by saying like, no, we just removed the legs surgically, and now the frogs have to roll around on these dollies we've created for them because that would be really cost effective.
The more I think about it, like to be a good comedian, you have to be smart. Like you have to know how to like compare shit like that, because first of all, that's how like you learn. If you're an intuitive learner, then you have to be able to use like comparisons of concepts and things you already know to like use those.
I used to be an intuitive learner. Like now I feel like I'm more of a concrete learner, like you said. Like maybe maybe my brain is crystallizing or something.
No, but you could be a hack about it. Like for example, who's that Isla Schlong Slucksucker or whatever that lady comedian's name is? You know who I'm talking about?
What?
Lisa
Lampanelli.
No, not Lampanelli. Lisa Schleisinger. I don't know. Anyway, her shtick is like, she'll like act out concepts, but she'll use animals as like the metaphor, because apparently she watches a lot of like nature shit.
Like Ricky Gervais.
So like she'll be like, yeah, these like I hate these fucking peacocks because they're basically like trashy male prostitutes just in the street. Like, you want to fuck or what? Because like that's basically what they do.
That's where the term peacocking came from. It's peacocks because they resemble man, like going around in the streets and catcalling people. And peacocks are literally male creatures.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's like a cheat code where you could tap into that kind of like abstraction. You know, it's like where you use your animals as like the boilerplate for your comparisons because you just happen to know the nature
template.
of many. Yeah. Or you could do it the right way, which is just go through a lot of experiences so that you've seen and done a lot of shit, so that when you come across new shit or when you try to describe old shit, you could use like your vast memory banks of experiences to be able to draw like funny comparisons, you know, like how like it was in the Joker movie.
It feels hacky though. Like
No, no,
you
no,
said,
those
like,
are-
it feels like if
But-
I'm drawing
but
from these
that's-
memory banks, it's hard for me to like obfuscate
Yeah, but
them
then-
enough to
but
make
then-
it seem like it's mine.
But then what, like, to deal with that, the comedian has to draw upon their other skill set, with other piece of their skill set, which is delivery. You have to deliver shit correctly, otherwise that's exactly the way it's going to sound like, the way you just put it. Honestly, one of the best bits I've ever heard
Well,
was
delivery
from...
doesn't really have anything to like delivery is just as hacky if you think about it. Like you're taking from like delivery that you've seen in the past.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
the
even,
way
like-
we talk is from other people talking.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But let's say you have a natural, right? Let's say
Yes.
the guy just starts and he's a natural at it,
Mhm.
at delivery, right?
Yeah.
And then he does it and he keeps doing it. He doesn't mean to, but his delivery is still gonna fucking improve the more he does, the more sets he does, you know, the
But
more
you
sets he
have to
puts
be
out.
a little bit negligent. You know, you have to be ignorant to like where you're getting your influences from. Like
Okay,
it's
so-
like
so-
dumbness. It's like cultivated
alright.
dumbness.
No. So then let's talk about the path of like what is it? Development, right? What does it go from like? It goes from initiation when you start something, and then you like suck absolute ass at it, and then you get to exponential learning where you start to learn the most basic of the basics, and then you're starting to get like concepts. Like you understand what punching up means, you understand what the callback is, you understand what like you understand how to like act out bits, you understand like how
Yeah,
to
but like,
structure it.
don't you think like a well, I mean, this
Yo, but
might
then,
be like
but then
taking
what
it out of
comes?
concept, but like
but-
a callback,
no,
for
no, no,
instance,
no,
is
What
now
comes?
made fun
What
of
comes?
because of how
No, no, no. Let me
cliche it
finish.
is.
Let me finish.
What?
What comes after that is the dip. After that point of exponential learning, you reach a plateau where it's like you got the basics down, you get the gist, but then you reach that plateau, and suddenly it's like, It's the problem is you don't know what new questions to ask. Like at first you start out, it becomes very easy to
Well,
like
because if
learning.
you understand everything, there's no point in doing anything because you understand the fact that what you're doing isn't contributing anything new or novel or because if
Yeah,
you,
so-
if you
so-
understand like why like the mechanics behind what you're doing, the components that go into it, then you know that what you're doing is essentially bullshit. So it's hard to bullshit knowing that you're doing it and feel any sort of like you have integrity in what you're doing. Like
Yeah, by the
you're
way-
just doing it because you can do it.
Just to let you know,
Yeah.
we'll pick this up right away. It's just I gotta stop the live stream because we're getting into premium hour. So and when I finish this fucking bottle,
Can we use the live stream as the episode this time?
yeah.
Okay. Like I feel like we haven't done that. Like I feel like the episodes that we do, they all have like the Terrorisk background and like that's cool and all, but like I think we would benefit from having that on YouTube, like a live stream episode.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Mhm. And also that's stemming from me making the same mistake again where there was like a point in time, I think it was around the 8-minute mark where it stopped recording, and I don't know, I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes it didn't get recorded, so that might be difficult for you to navigate because there'll be
wait. So you're saying that you just don't want to send me the audio file?
I can send it to you, it's just there's going to be a gap around the 8-minute mark, and that might not be good for YouTube.
Wait, it stopped recording?
Yeah, and I had to restart. I don't know how long the gap was, but it wasn't that long. I mean, it's been recording for I'm at 102.47
No,
in the recording.
I'm at 102.50 something. It's okay, dude.
Okay, so we're not that far apart.
Yeah, I could literally just like figure out just when like it starts to lose sync.
Mhm.
Once I sync the beginning, I'll let it play, and that's the only time it cut out.
Yeah, it's been recording continuously since then.
Okay, so to our listeners, we're gonna say goodbye, and we love you, and see you later.